Have you ever wondered how the other half lives? What does life look like in the poorest corners of our world? An intriguing question, isn't it? Yet it's a question that often goes unanswered. Global poverty, a harsh reality that millions face daily, is an issue that has far-reaching implications and one that paints a stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots. In our world today, wealth is unevenly distributed. We live in an era of unprecedented prosperity, yet the fruits of this prosperity are not shared equally. Some nations bask in the glow of opulence and advancement, while others bear the brunt of extreme poverty. This disparity, this imbalance, is a cold, hard truth that many of us struggle to comprehend. So, what contributes to this state of global poverty? It isn't a simple question to answer. The roots of poverty are multifaceted, intertwined with a myriad of factors, both man-made and natural. Consider the impact of war, for instance. Nations embroiled in conflict see their infrastructures crumble, their economies collapse. The result? A population thrust into abject poverty. Then there's disease, an often overlooked culprit. Diseases, especially those that are chronic or endemic, drain resources, stifle productivity, and plunge families into financial ruin. And let's not forget about education, or rather the lack of it. Education is a powerful tool, a ladder out of poverty, yet in many parts of the world, this ladder is out of reach. Without access to quality education, the cycle of poverty perpetuates generation after generation. But these are just the broad strokes. To fully grasp the enormity of global poverty, we need to delve deeper, to look beyond the statistics and see the human faces behind the figures. To do this, we're going to explore the life in one of the poorest countries on Earth. To truly understand the scale of this issue, let's delve into the life of one of the poorest countries on Earth, Burundi. Burundi, a small nation in East Africa, holds the unenviable title of the poorest country in the world. Tucked away in the heart of the African continent, Burundi has a rich and complex history. A former Belgian colony, it gained independence in 1962, but the path to self-governance was far from smooth. The country has been plagued by ethnic violence and political instability, with a civil war that raged for more than a decade from the early 90s to the mid-2000s. This civil unrest has had a profound impact on the economy, with infrastructure neglected and investment opportunities lost. Burundi's economy is predominantly agricultural, with more than 4 out of 5 Burundians relying on farming for their livelihood. Yet, the land is overworked and undernourished, leading to poor yields and widespread food insecurity. Add to this a rapidly growing population and the effects of climate change, and Burundi's economic situation becomes increasingly dire. Now, let's talk numbers. According to the World Bank, more than 65% of Burundians live below the poverty line. That's over 6.5 million people struggling to secure the basics: food, shelter, education, healthcare. In fact, the United Nations Human Development Index ranks Burundi as one of the least developed countries in the world, with the average citizen earning less than $1 a day. But perhaps the most shocking statistic of all is this: the life expectancy in Burundi is just under 60 years. That's almost 2 decades less than the global average. This is a stark reminder of the human cost of poverty, of lives cut short by malnutrition, disease, and a lack of access to health care. As we delve deeper into the plight of Burundi, it's important to remember that these statistics, as shocking as they may be, represent real people. Each number is a life, a story, a struggle. These figures are more than just numbers. They represent real people struggling to survive. Behind every statistic, there's a human story. In Burundi, these stories are often heartbreaking. Imagine waking up at dawn, not to the sound of an alarm clock, but to the gnawing pangs of hunger. This is the everyday reality for Jean, a 10-year-old boy in Burundi. His breakfast, if he's lucky, is a small handful of boiled beans. It's a meager meal that must fuel him through a day of hard labor, fetching water and tending to crops. Jean represents the over 50% of Burundi's population that lives in severe food insecurity. Now, picture Marie, a young mother who, instead of planning for her child's future, spends her days trekking miles for a single jug of water. She knows all too well the dangers of drinking from contaminated sources, having lost a child to cholera. But sometimes, there are no other options. Marie's narrative echoes the reality of close to 65% of Burundians who lack access to clean water. And let's not forget Pierre, a farmer whose life hangs in the balance as he battles malaria without access to proper healthcare. His story is not unique, but a grim reminder of the healthcare crisis in Burundi, where 1 in every 15 children doesn't live to see their 5th birthday. These are the faces behind the figures, the human stories that bring to life the devastating impact of poverty in Burundi. They are individuals, not just numbers, each with their own dreams, hopes, and fears, all overshadowed by the harsh reality of their circumstances. But these stories should not just invoke feelings of despair. They should also spark a sense of urgency, a call to action. Because behind these faces, there is resilience, strength, and the will to survive against all odds. Life in Burundi is a constant battle against poverty, but change is possible. Change may seem impossible in the face of such overwhelming odds, but history has shown us that it is not. Take, for instance, the case of Botswana. Once one of the poorest countries in the world, Botswana is now classified as an upper-middle-income country, thanks to the discovery of diamonds and the government's sound fiscal policies. Similarly, Vietnam, once ravaged by war, has seen remarkable economic growth through agricultural reforms and opening up to foreign investment. So what can we learn from these examples? How can these strategies be applied to Burundi? Firstly, education is paramount. An educated populace is the backbone of any thriving society. It is the key that unlocks the door to innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic growth. Secondly, infrastructure development is crucial. Roads, bridges, clean water, electricity, these are not just conveniences, they are necessities. Infrastructure not only provides essential services, but also creates jobs, stimulating the economy. Lastly, political stability is indispensable. It provides the foundation upon which all other aspects of society can flourish. Stable governments can attract foreign investment, implement effective policies, and ensure the rule of law. However, it's important to acknowledge that each country is unique, with its own set of challenges and opportunities. What worked for Botswana or Vietnam may not necessarily work for Burundi. The solutions must be tailored to the specific needs of the Burundian people. But therein lies the hope. With the right combination of education, infrastructure development, and political stability, we can start to chip away at the seemingly insurmountable mountain of poverty. It's a daunting task, no doubt. But remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, commitment, and a collective effort. While the road to change is long and fraught with challenges, the potential for a brighter future is there. And that's what we must hold on to. That's what we must strive for. Now that you understand the reality of life in Burundi, you might be wondering, what can I do to help? The first step is to arm yourself with knowledge. Dive deeper into the subject of global poverty. Read about it, watch documentaries, engage in discussions, and understand the complexities and the systemic issues that perpetuate it. Countries like Burundi, despite their rich culture and resilient people, grapple with challenges that are often overlooked by the rest of the world. The more you know about these challenges, the better equipped you'll be to contribute to the solutions. If you have the means, consider making a donation. There are numerous charities and organizations working tirelessly to alleviate poverty in Burundi and other similar countries. Your contribution can help provide clean water, education, healthcare, and other essential resources to those who need them most. But remember, you don't need to have money to make a difference. Spreading awareness is a powerful tool in its own right. Share what you've learned with your friends, family, and social networks. The more people are aware of the realities of places like Burundi, the more pressure there is on our global community to act. Consider advocating for policy change. Reach out to your local representatives, sign petitions, participate in peaceful protests. In a world that is more connected than ever, your voice can reach further than you think. Perhaps you're inspired to volunteer your time or skills. There are many opportunities to get involved, from teaching English online to helping with fundraising efforts. Your time and talents can make a real impact. Remember, it's not about solving all of the world's problems overnight. It's about each of us doing our part to make the world a better place, one step at a time. In the words of anthropologist Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Remember, every action, no matter how small, can make a difference in the fight against global poverty.